It is a frigid, silent night in December 1942. Along the river Garonne, German ships rest quietly in the water. Suddenly, two black silhouettes emerge, slowly advancing meters from shore. These small vessels are two canoes, each carrying two Royal Marines. Major Herbert Blondie Hasler and his team are executing Operation Frankton, a mission deep into enemy territory to sabotage German ships with collapsible canoes and limpet mines. As they paddle through the icy water, every movement must be precise and silent. The attack is about to begin. By summer 1942, World War II had reached a critical point. The Axis powers were entrenched across Europe, North Africa, and parts of Asia, while the Allies were planning major offensives. The Battle of the Atlantic saw fierce combat between Allied convoys and German U-boats. And in the Mediterranean, Italy's stealthy attacks had targeted British ships in their ports, prompting new strategies for sabotage. Inspired by Italian stealth attacks against British ships in the Mediterranean, Major Herbert G. Blondie Hasler of the Royal Marines proposed using two-man canoes to plant limpet mines on enemy ships. Despite initial rejection, Hasler's concept gained traction after the British reconsidered following the Italian sneak attacks. Under Captain T.A. Hussey and Admiral Mountbatten's guidance, Hasler was allowed to organize and develop British equivalents. Hasler headed to London to discuss potential live operations. They reviewed files but found nothing suitable until the Frankton problem was mentioned, targeting the vital port of Bordeaux in the Bay of Biscay. This strategic port served as a crucial hub for the transportation of goods crucial to supporting the German military machine. Between June 1941 and 1942, substantial quantities of essential supplies, including vegetable and animal oils, raw materials, and even crude rubber, arrived at Bordeaux, totaling 25,000 tons. Traditional attacks against the port were deemed too costly, however. As such, Hasler studied the Frankton dossier and developed an outline plan. He proposed using canoes despite their fragility due to the unavailability of the boom patrol boat. Hasler's plan involved 3 canoes, a submarine for transportation, and limpet mines for the attack. The plan hinged on careful navigation during the dark period of the moon cycle. Initially proposing a small force of 3 kayaks transported covertly by submarine, the mission aimed to navigate the treacherous Gironde estuary under cover of darkness. Once in Bordeaux, the operatives planned to deploy limpet mines to sink cargo ships, disrupting the flow of supplies to the enemy. The raiders intended to evade detection by day and escape overland to Spain after completing their mission. Mountbatten increased the number of canoes participating to 6. And while Hasler initially wasn't allowed to participate due to his expertise, Mountbatten caved upon receiving a letter written by Hasler on why he should. Hasler formed a unit and trained them extensively in underwater attacks, navigation, and escape and evasion procedures. The unit, known as the Cockleshell Heroes, used Mark II semi-rigid, collapsible canoes, nicknamed Cockles, for their missions. The mission was further perilous due to Hitler's Kommandobefehl, ordering summary execution of captured Allied commandos. For the participating troops, physical fitness was paramount, with demanding exercises like paddling long distances and diving with escape gear. Stealth training encompassed both sea and land maneuvers, emphasizing avoiding detection and mastering night vision. On November 30th, after meticulous preparation, Major Hasler led his team of 12 men in 6 Mark II canoes on the raid. Equipped with essential gear including weapons, tools, and supplies for 6 days, each man also carried a .45 caliber Colt automatic pistol and a commando fighting knife. Departing from Holy Loch, Scotland, aboard HMS Tuna, they headed toward the River Gironde in France. Despite their enthusiasm, one canoe was unable to participate due to damage sustained during deployment. The remaining 5 canoes disembarked on December 7th, navigating towards the River Gironde under cover of night. As they approached, they faced treacherous tide races, causing difficulties for some canoes. The coalfish disappeared. Despite a search, the remainder had to continue without them. Navigating through enemy waters and a third tide race, cuttlefish bumped into an underwater obstacle. The canoe sank, and its crew was forced to swim ashore. Further mishaps occurred as Conger capsized, leading to the loss of its 2 crew members. With just 2 canoes left, the catfish and crayfish, they landed around 6:30 a.m., exhausted and soaked after paddling for 11 hours and covering 44 kilometers. They were still kilometers removed from their target, the Bordeaux harbour. They hid in the reed and under camouflage netting during daytime near a creek by St. Vivian. On December 9th, Hasler's team took a risk, setting off at dusk despite being spotted by a French farmer. They paddled 28 kilometers that night, but were still too far from their target by dawn. On December 10th, they covered only 17 kilometers and postponed the attack to December 11th. That night, conditions were ideal for the mission. A moderate southerly breeze, cloudy sky, and occasional rain made it darker and muffled their paddling sounds. They paddled quietly along the western bank of the Garonne River. At 10 o'clock, they saw 2 well-lit cargo ships at Bassin South, creating an immediate problem due to the noise and lights. They hid in the reeds, observing their targets. Hasler planned the attack for the next night, adjusting for the moonlight, and assigned specific targets to each team. They prepped their limpets and set off at 9:15 p.m. to carry out their final mission. On the night of the attack, the clear, frosty December sky offered no cover for Hasler and Sparks as they paddled catfish with their live limpets fizzing. Unlike blacked-out ports, the banks were well lit, and they kept 180 meters offshore. After 90 minutes, they reached the brightly illuminated ships. Stealth was crucial. They avoided a tanker and a passenger cargo ship, marking the latter for a potential return. The next ship was a perfect target, a large cargo vessel with no other ships moored alongside. Hasler prepared the first limpet mine. He attached it to the placing rod, lowered it into the water as far as the rod would go, and gently brought it up to the ship's side, feeling the mine cling securely. The first blow had been struck. They moved along the hull, pausing amidships where Hasler handed the placing rod to Sparks, who attached the second limpet and then a third near the stern. They continued along the line of ships, placing limpets while avoiding detection. They passed an outfall of water or sewage being discharged from a pipe several feet above their heads, and cascades of the great condenser outfalls forced them out from the ship's sides, drenching them with spray. The hum of auxiliary engines indicated the engine rooms, and voices or music revealed crew quarters. The last ship in the group was flanked by a small German naval craft, a Spurbrecher. This vessel wasn't their primary target, but with only 5 limpets left and the tide against them, they decided to attack it. They positioned catfish under the bows of the German ship. Sparks fixed 2 limpets, spaced several meters apart, along the engine room. During this maneuver, a sentry on the ship's deck spotted them and shone a torch down. Hasler and Sparks froze, bodies and paddles motionless, pretending to be driftwood. The sentry, after following them down the length of the ship, eventually lost interest. Moving quietly downstream, they returned to the awkwardly placed cargo ship with the tanker moored alongside. They initially intended to distribute limpets along the length of the cargo ship, but the tanker's position made it difficult. Instead, they targeted the stern. They wedged catfish between the ships and planted 2 limpets on the cargo ship's stern. While Hasler and Sparks executed their attack on the ships at Bordeaux docks, Crayfish's Corporal Laver and Marine Mills embarked on their own mission. Following Hasler's instructions, Laver navigated Crayfish down the east bank of the Garonne, searching for targets. Their task was to locate and attack 2 specific ships at Bassin South, which had been designated as their objectives. As they paddled stealthily along the river, they adhered to the plan, pressing on despite the absence of targets along the east bank. When the tide turned against them, they made the decision to return and engage the ships at Bassin South. Upon reaching their targets, Laver and Mills planted limpets on the designated ships without encountering any trouble. Their job was done. Meanwhile, Hasler and Sparks paddled downstream and rendezvoused with Laver and Mills at around 1 a.m. Then, in the tense silence of the night, the limpet mines suddenly erupted into action, unleashing explosions that reverberated through the calm waters of the Garonne. The detonations echoed like thunder. As the blasts rippled through the hulls of the ships, chaos ensued among the vessels moored along the quays. The ex-French ship Alabama had multiple holes and extensive damage, while the Tannenfels listed severely, taking on water and sinking. The stern of the Dresden sank due to hull and propeller shaft tunnel damage. The Portland was also badly holed, although initially suspected to be the result of underwater mines. The discovery of canoes and unexploded limpets revealed the true cause. The damaged ships required extensive repairs, with divers and dry docks employed for restoration. For the cockleshell heroes, the successful mission now transitioned into a desperate escape. With no more planning possible, they became refugees in hostile territory, facing an arduous 800-mile journey to safety in the depths of winter. Paddling swiftly, they aimed to cover as much distance as possible before daylight, sweeping past villages and reeds towards their next hideout. The attack shocked German authorities, leading to increased security and defensive measures. Major Hasler and Marine Sparks went ashore near Saint-Jean-de-Blay, and after scuttling their canoe, reached Ruffec by December 18th. Aided by the French resistance, they hid for 6 weeks before crossing the Pyrenees into Spain and reaching the British consulate in Barcelona. They were flown to England on April 1st. Corporal Lever and Marine Mills were less fortunate, captured by French police at Montlieu-la-Garde. They were transported to Paris and executed by the Germans, along with Lieutenant McKinnon and Marine Conway of Cuttlefish. The Third Reich attempted to conceal the truth of their deaths, falsely recording them as drownings. Tragically, Coalfish disappeared, its crew also captured by German forces and executed. Of the 10 Marines participating, only Hasler and Sparks survived. 6 were executed, and 2 died of hypothermia. No matter the losses, Churchill believed their mission shortened the war by 6 months, and Mountbatten praised its courage and imagination. The raid, while not highly successful, boosted British morale and inspired books and a film. As for Hasler, he became a noted yachtsman and passed away in 1987. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please leave a like, it really helps out the channel. If there is a topic, battle, or person you would like to know more about, let me know your thoughts in a comment. I would also like to thank all my patrons and channel members for their generous support. If you enjoy House of History and you want to support my work, consider joining me on Patreon. For just $1 per month, you will already gain early access to all my videos without any in-video advertisements. Don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.